everybody, Elizabeth Hines here, and I'm calling this video What's for Dinner, because this is just a simple dinner that we typically have in our house. You know, on the blog, ourpaleofamily.com, I put up lots of recipes, and those recipes take a long time to develop, and you know, I'm pulling from all these different ingredients that I have in my pantry, and that's not, frankly, how we eat usually. Normally, we just have a very simply prepared piece of meat and some vegetables on the side. Now, I am going to make my oven-fried okra tonight, which is a new recipe that's just gone up on the blog. If you're from the South and you've had fried okra, you know what a delicious treat this is, and I have figured out how to make it at home, and it's just super simple, and it's really, really good. But aside from that, we're having some burgers on the grill and just a bunch of vegetables. And I'm also going to heat up some sweet potato casserole that we had left over from, almost said Thanksgiving, from Easter over the weekend. So let's get cooking. So the first thing I want to do for my okra is turn my oven on to 425. And I'm going to use bacon grease, some reserved bacon grease from my Very Healthy Bacon. But you can use any other high heat cooking oil like avocado oil, coconut oil, ghee. Those would all withstand the high heat and would be great. Don't use something like canola oil, the vegetable oils. We don't use those in paleo cooking anyway. But even olive oil, which is a healthy oil, is not a good one to cook. So I'm going to put about between a tablespoon and a half and 2 tablespoons of the bacon grease. And I got the spoon for that, and I forgot to use it. I'm going to put that on my tray, and I'm going to put that in the oven to heat, and then this will be a nice hot surface to put my okra on, and it will help it get real crispy. I had a piece of parchment on my tray, which you could use parchment, you could use foil, just something that will help it to be non-stick. Okay, so I'm going to beat up an egg. We've had so many bad eggs lately. Just make sure you give it a little sniff and make sure your egg is okay. And that's fine. I think I have a new kind of dish soap, and it is leaving a scent on the dishes, and that's throwing me off. So just beat up your egg really, really well. And then I have a bag of frozen cut okra, and this is really the secret. You have to start with frozen okra. With fresh, it just gets slimy, because okra has this, I don't know how to say it nicely, this sort of mucilaginous texture to it, which is really good for your gut, actually. But it does make it a little bit tricky to work with, and it makes it not palatable for some people. Some people don't care for it. So I'm just going to toss this really well. I will use my spoon after all. And make sure that I get some egg on each piece. A couple of these will be stuck together because they're frozen, and that's okay. Okay, then we're going to put in salt. And I like, this is a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm sorry. My recipe calls for a full teaspoon, and I'm going to put a half a teaspoon in here. Let me write this down. And a lot of nice fresh ground pepper. And I will add some additional salt as soon as I pull it out of the oven when it's nice and hot, and just get a nice little dusting of salt right there at the end. So half a teaspoon went in here. So we have egg, and then okra, and then salt and pepper, and then almond flour. Now, if you were following autoimmune protocol and you wanted to use one of the other flours, like a cassava flour or coconut flour or tiger nut, there are a whole bunch of different flours now, and they each have a different flavor. We can eat the almond flour. We like the taste of it. It works for our family. My son does have some nut allergies, but he is not allergic to almonds. And I like the nice neutral taste of it. But you could certainly make this with some of the different flours. Just bear in mind that they do have a flavor that they'll impart to your dish. Okay, so everything is nice and covered, and all I'm going to do is pull out my tray and spread these out. So my bacon fat has melted, and I'm just going to spread it around my piece of parchment. This is like our frying oil. And I'm going to hold this in. And it's probably easier to just go ahead and use your fingers to separate them out. Try to get them all by themselves. They will want to bunch up and hang out with their friends. But just take a second and try to separate them. Those that were frozen together might be a little bit harder to do. And it's okay if a couple of them are stuck together. But I do try to separate them if I can. They'll get crispy all the way around if they're not touching. So that's why we do that. So remembering that this was hot, my tray was hot, we're going to put it in the oven for 10 minutes. And actually my oven is not quite up to temperature yet. So I'm going to do 12 minutes. And while that is going, I'm going to make my burgers. This is a grass-fed local beef from here in North Carolina. And they've started selling it in these packages like this, which is great. It's so convenient. I don't have to stand at the meat counter and order it. This is the same brand that they carry at Whole Foods, and it costs $3 less per pound to buy it in these packages than to have them portion it out for me. So my only issue with the grass-fed beef, it's better for us. The animals are healthier feeding on grass rather than grain, and then the meat is healthier for us to eat. But it definitely has a stronger, sort of gamier taste, and it's really an acquired taste in my opinion. So I make 2 bigger burgers and 2 smaller burgers. My daughter is not a big beef eater. She does like steak. But she does not want to eat a very large burger. So I sort of roughly make my burger patty shape. And then I'm going to put a little coconut aminos in mine. So the aminos are kind of like a soy sauce alternative that we use in paleo cooking. And it's salty. It has that sort of umami flavor. And I just like it with the grass-fed because it kind of masks a little bit of that gamey flavor. So let me wash my hands. So I'm just going to pour maybe half a teaspoon on the big ones, 1/4 of a teaspoon on the little ones. Whoops, that was a little more. That's okay. And I'll just kind of knead it into my patties, and then it'll be on my tray, and they'll just kind of soak in it while I'm waiting for my grill to heat up. So if you've just joined us, I'm Elizabeth Hines from OurPaleoFamily.com, and I'm just showing you today what a typical dinner is like for us. We, all the recipes that you see on the blog, like the beef stroganoff and, oh gosh, cauliflower crust pizza, spanakopita chicken, all these nut-crusted chicken. We love those dishes. They're really good, but that's not how we eat every night because they take longer, and we just don't have time for that all the time. So I make those recipes because sometimes you really want fried chicken, or you really want beef stroganoff. You want something that you used to eat before your paleo days, or maybe you are trying this diet because you're the one that has the health condition and you want to feel better, and you're trying to get your picky husband and kids, or maybe we're always giving the husbands a hard time. Maybe it's the husband who's trying to be healthy and the wife is picky. So you're trying to get the other people in your household on board. and you need the food to taste good. So yeah, that's when you want to really pull out all the stops and show them that this paleo thing is really good. However, you don't have to cook like that every night. Just a real simple piece of meat on the grill, or we do a lot of tougher cuts of beef roast that are the inexpensive cuts, and I'll make them in the Instant Pot. I have a video on YouTube that's pot roast in the Instant Pot, and that was one of the first things I made in there, and it's really good. It's very hands-off. It's faster than cooking it just on the stove or in the oven or crock pot, and it's a really great way to utilize a less expensive cut of meat. Okay, washing my hands again. Okay, I just popped outside to turn my grill on, and now I'm going to start cooking my vegetables. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of that bacon fat in my big nonstick skillet on about medium-high heat, and I'm just doing a mix of various vegetables, whatever I had. In the fridge, we have an Aldi here. I don't know if you have Aldi where you live, but it's a discount grocery store. It's owned by the same people that own Trader Joe's. So a lot of their house brands, you'll find the same thing at both Aldi and Trader Joe's. Obviously, packaged a little bit differently, but the product on the inside is exactly the same. Aldi, you have to put a quarter in the grocery cart to get a cart, and you have to bring your own bags or buy bags. So there are a few things like that are service-oriented, is where they're saving the money, and it's where you save money. And one of the things that we love to get there is our produce. They actually have a lot of organic produce and non-organic for things that you don't really need non-organic. But right now they've been having asparagus, which is great. It's really nice, and it's usually $1.99 for a big package. So I just buy whatever looks good that week, and then we eat it all through the week. You know, occasionally I'll plan something like spaghetti, and I'll want squash to make the squash noodles. But generally I don't have a plan for my vegetables for dinner. I just buy what looked good that week, and we just eat it all through the week. So I'm going to start my onions so they can cook for a little while, get nice and soft and sweet. Probably going to need to add a little bit more fat to this. I kind of jumped the gun on my okra a little bit because the oven is still not up to temperature yet, and I only have 5 minutes left on this side, so it's not going to be quite done because I didn't have my oven hot when I started. Okay, so some salt and pepper. The salt will start to draw the moisture out of the onions and help them start cooking down. And then I'll clean my asparagus. I think I have a whole video about this, but you can just bend it. There you go. And where it breaks is this is the tougher part, and then this will be the more tender part. Some of these are really little. And then I basically just take all of it and cut off about, this one, about 1.5 inches, and this one is about 2.5 inches. So I'll just cut off about 2 inches of each of these. So I saw how much I needed to cut off, and then just kind of took an average and cut them all that way. And then I'll cut these into about 3 pieces, and we'll throw those in with all the others in a few minutes. They don't take very long to cook. So I'll do my onions first, and then I'll get my mushrooms in. I try to buy meat when it's on sale, and then keep it in the fridge, and then plan, or the freezer, and then plan my meals around what I have, rather than saying, okay, this week I want to make tuna and chicken thighs, and then go to the store and just buy that. I try to buy the meat that's on sale, and then plan my meals around that. Now, if for some reason I'm working on a specific recipe, then I'll just buy, whatever it is I need for that recipe for a particular occasion. Okay, my onions are really browning, so I'm going to turn that down a little bit. I want those to caramelize just a bit before I add my other veggies in. I'm going to put a little pepper on my burgers and a little salt. Like I said, there's salt in the aminos, but not enough for this meat. So I'm going to flip these over, season both sides, and then I'll go turn my grill down. Okay, so I just turned my grill down, so I put it on high so I can burn off anything that was left over from the last time I grilled. So I just turned it down to about medium low, and I'll put my burgers on in just a second. Okay, we'll give those a toss. My timer is buzzing for my okra. I want to show it to you. Because my oven was not up to temperature yet when I put it in, it's really not quite ready to flip. I just want to mess with flipping it one time. So I'm going to let it brown a little bit more on that first side before I flip it. Ooh. This is a little bit of an unusual night because typically we all eat dinner together, but the kids have sports tonight, so they have to eat earlier, so their tummies are not super full when they go to play, so they'll start eating before Dad gets home. So I just got one yellow squash, one zucchini. I have a few snow peas left. That's a new thing they've started having at Aldi are these snow peas. I don't think I told you either. The okra, that bag of frozen okra is just $1. That's at my local Kroger. And they actually just started carrying it at Aldi. And I noticed it was $2 a bag at Aldi. So it was a better deal at Kroger. And they actually have that frozen okra that's already breaded, and obviously that's not gluten-free. It has a whole bunch of different stuff in it that we don't want to eat. So make sure if you're shopping at Kroger at least, or any place that probably carries those same brands, make sure you get the one that is not breaded. So you want to make your own breading. Let me toss my squash in. And I'll put my peas and asparagus in very last. Medium high. Okay, I'm going to put my burgers on. Okay, my burgers are on. All my veggies are now ready. These are clean. These are already washed. And I need to heat up the sweet potatoes. I can put this whole dish in the microwave. I could put it in the oven, but it's pretty hot, and I don't want to put that cold dish in there. Okay, for my burgers, and I'll go put a little cheese on them after I flip them over. So I'm going to be, I don't know, maybe this isn't nice, but they will all get traditional cheese, and I will get the grass-fed cheddar on my burger because I do better with that. There wasn't much left, so take all that out. Okay, so it's about time for my okra to get flipped over. Stir my veggies. You can see the sweet potatoes steaming in the microwave, so I'll turn that off. I really want my vegetables to be cooked, but a little bit browned and not mushy. So that requires pretty high heat. Those are about about done enough. So as soon as I flip the okra, I will go flip my burgers. Oh yeah, that looks good. Alright, so you can see that it is brown around the edges. This is hot. So I'm just going to flip them all over and then spread them back out. So it's a little bit tedious because you do want to flip all of them. You just have egg, salt and pepper, and almond flour on here. And then I used bacon fat for the oil for my oven frying. Okay, so each piece got flipped, and now we'll go brown for about 10 more minutes. I put that on the bottom rack where it's hotter. Okay, these are looking good. I'm going to turn it up on high and add my peas and asparagus. Okay, so I flipped my burgers. My veggies are going. My okra, I didn't set my timer, but it's going to need about 8 more minutes. Just because I didn't have my oven hot enough to start, I wanted to show you how I put the tray in, and the tray heats up with the oven. But in fact, I would typically let it heat for a few minutes and get to about 300 or so before I put my tray in there. And then it comes up to total temperature, and then I start my okra. So that's slowing down our dinner just a little bit. So normally I would just turn the squash off, the vegetables off, and stop with the heating up of the sweet potatoes and have everything ready at the same time. But because the kids really need to start eating, I'm going to go ahead and let them start with their burgers and their vegetables, and then I'll give them the okra when it's ready. Let me give my veggies one more stir before I pop out. Okay, we're getting nice and brown. I'm going to go get the burgers. Okay, so these are going to be done. Nice and brown. Ooh, yeah, perfect. Show you this up close. Ooh, there's some good browning on there. This is the way I like them. Now, they don't like onions. My daughter likes mushrooms. My son does not. So I try to give them what they like because they are really good about eating a lot of vegetables. And I know a lot of kids are not. So I want to honor that and have them try new things, but at the same time, not constantly give them what they don't like. So a little spoon of sweet potatoes. Okay, so this is dinner. I will get the okra out for my okra lover, or liker. Do you love it, Luke, or you just like it? Both. In just a minute, as soon as it's done, let's check it. I want to take one to taste it to see how much seasoning it needs. Yeah, it'll be done in just a second. So that's it. That's a typical, really simple dinner for us. It's been about 40 minutes since I started, and it would have been ready sooner if I had my oven hot to start with, and if I weren't talking to you. So this is a good, quick 30-minute dinner. Burgers on the grill, some leftover sweet potatoes, just a bunch of sauteed vegetables, whatever I had on hand, and then my oven fried okra. And I'll show you the whole thing in just a second. So good. And you've never had okra? You have to try it. It has such a nice, sort of unique flavor. It's not like anything else. All right, those are mine and the hubby's burgers. And here's the okra, hot and delicious and browned. And it was seasoned pretty well. I'm just going to do a real light sprinkling of salt on the top. And that's it. Thanks for watching. You can find the okra recipe on my website, ourpaleofamily.com. Thanks. Enjoy your dinner tonight.